This year has already seen multiple extrajudicial murders of unarmed black individuals in the streets, rightly identified as lynchings. And in fact, there have been updates on some of those cases recently. Once again, there's been an attempt to outlaw this practice, but understand that since at least the year 1900, members of the House and Senate have tried to pass a law making lynching a federal crime. The bills were consistently blocked, shelved, or ignored. I saw one reference to at least 200 separate attempts to outlaw this practice, but there was always something to block it. Always something. And it turns out that right now there is something as well. Because while the House has already passed an anti-lynching legislation, which is waiting approval in the Senate, on Wednesday, Senator Rand Paul told reporters he has concerns about the bill, which he said might allow some minor altercations to be punishable as lynchings. He was quoted as saying, "Bruises could be considered lynching. That's a problem. To put someone in jail for 10 years for some kind of altercation." And so he's just worried about the extent of the legislation. That's why he is the lone person apparently standing to stop this from finally becoming outlawed.
Yeah, there's a museum now in Montgomery, Alabama, that Brian Stevenson with the Equal Justice Initiative opened. It's a museum of lynching, and they chronicle every lynched man or woman and child in American history there, and it is an extraordinarily moving experience. There's nobody there who's there with a bruise. There's nobody there who is there because there was some sort of red tape that they got through to be in the Museum of Lynching. I think it's like pornography when Chief Justice, I think it was Potter Stewart, but I'm probably wrong, said that he doesn't know it. He knows it when he sees it, but he can't define it. You can define lynching. It's pretty clear what it is. And Rand Paul is so wrong on this. And he's so wrong at a time where being wrong on this is so vitally egregious. It's just incredible that he's continuing this charade.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, look, he's the sort of, I'll just say, he's the sort of a-hole who would do this at any time. But it certainly seems like an extra level to do it now, to say, no, we're not going to finally, after far more than a century, make good on this. Now, I have problems with the language. And so, you know what? We just don't have time. And as of right now,
he's not even a lawyer, by the way. He's an eye doctor, right? He's not even a lawyer. He doesn't have the standing to say, well, there's some legal parts of this. We don't want to misconstrue a bruise here. This isn't foreign aid to Bulgaria without some quid pro quo. This is about anti-lynching. It's pretty clear the spirit of this bill. It's so important that this thing pass.
Yeah, and it might be one thing if it was like the person who was holding it up over a particular language thing was someone who had a long reputation and credibility built on concern around this issue. He's not that individual. And right now, if he holds it up, right now, in order for the Senate to quickly pass the House bill, they would need to agree to it unanimously and without offering amendments, which he's pushing for. Adding an amendment would require the full vote of the Senate. It would mean that the bill would have to be sent back to the House for additional consideration, a move that would delay the passing of the bill because the House is currently out of session. Now, we've been perfectly fine delaying it for over a century. Seems like we could finally stop that. And also, and look, that obviously makes him look bad, because if he delays it and then it finally gets sent, we'll have to wait for the House to come back. But the House is out. That's insanity. I mean, even if there weren't these protests going on, they're gonna wait weeks and weeks before taking up the next coronavirus relief bill. 40 million people are still out of work. 1,000 people are dying every day. And the House, like, we can't expect anything out of Mitch McConnell. But the House, like, Nancy Pelosi seems perfectly happy to just go and fundraise a little bit. Maybe give a little speech, hold up a Bible, a little viral moment to sting Trump. They should be providing a counterpoint to the lack of leadership from the White House and from the Senate. And they're not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to explain it. This is not a defense of it. This is an explanation of it. Very often you have moments in politics, which election years are all about politics, where you just let the other side decompose. And I think that that's what they see happening when you see the poll numbers, when you see the reaction to the president from within his own party, and you just let the fire burn on that side. I agree. Obviously, more should be being done. The members of Congress that I've spoken to, all of whom were Democrats over the past week, seem pretty confident that when they get back in July, they're going to be able to have a whole lot of meat to go after this administration and the Senate on. It's a tactic. It's not one that I necessarily agree with, or certainly you or most of our audience would, but it's certainly a tactic, and they think it's going to work politically. That's all they care about this year, is getting him out.
Yeah. We'll see what's left of the country by the time he is gotten rid of, hopefully. Yeah, I totally agree with your read of the politics. I'm 100% sure that that's what they're doing. I think that that's Biden's strategy too, although Biden has been more outspoken than Schumer or Pelosi recently.
Yeah.
But
well, Schumer and Pelosi did write a letter reacting to what the president said the other day. But those are statements. They're not actions. And I don't know what actions they can take. Everything that's going on right now is really governors and mayors and chiefs of police for the most part.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.